Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Dave Lieber. He's an award-winning journalist, author, speaker, playwright, and one of my heroes. His incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, I'm going to have to tell you a story about my next guest, Dave Lieber. So back in the early 2000s, I was doing a lot of speaking, and obviously Dave was as well. We would meet at the same conference center. We both had a big poster for our book. We had a box of books, and we had the same cart. And when we saw each other, we just stopped in our tracks, and I said, "You're my brother from another mother." And we've been good friends ever since. So the great Dave Lieber, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, it's funny because we do feel like we're twins, you know.
We are. We've never decided who the good twin or the evil twin was, but let's...
I'll be the evil twin.
No. So I'm blown away. So first of all, journalism, you just told me 49 years in journalism?
Yeah.
That's incredible. You started when you were 2?
In college.
Yes?
I covered the mayoral race in Philadelphia in 1975.
Wow. And you got to Texas when?
The summer of 93. And don't move here in the summer. I mean, that was a...
Summer of 93. Yeah. And one of the things I love about Dave, because one of his talks is about moving to Texas for the first time, and it was a little bit of a culture shock. So
a little.
I'm not going to spoil it. Let's go ahead and show this clip.
And the first question I got asked, it's your state slogan. Boy, where are you from? So the second question I'm getting asked everywhere I go after they find out I'm a New Yorker is they lean in and they say, "What church do you go to?" But you got to picture this. Here I am in this conservative, Republican, mostly Baptist, native Texan, everybody's married area, and not one person said, "What we need here is a liberal, divorced, Democratic New York City Jew." Let me stop and just share with you what I did there for a moment, because I wish you could see your faces right now. You look great. I mean, you've been here for 8 hours, and you've heard an amazing group of speakers, and you look like you're ready, just starting. I love the smiles on your face, because what I did there was start with the story. I believe in the power of the story to change the world. And the brain is set up to listen to a story because it engaged your billions of neural endings. And this is the only science I'm giving you right now. The billions of neural endings were kind of flapping up high, and that's my job. But right now, I'm consciously lowering them because I stopped telling a story. Now's when you can yawn. I'm gonna show you actually how to tell the story, because everyone needs to tell their story and the story of whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. And it's a simple formula. The low point is the part that we care most about, because I don't care about your success. I want to hear about your failure. I want to hear how you took something bad that happened and turned it into heroic and became who you are today, because I'm going to learn from that. Change the world through storytelling. This has been an honor to be your last speaker. I'll see you in the newspaper. My name's Dave Lieber, and thank you very, very much.
Wow, there's nothing like the applause, is there?
No, that was one of the best days of my life.
And that was that a TEDx?
Yeah.
Which, for those who don't know, it's timed. How many minutes did you have?
Well, you're supposed to do 12, but I did 18.
No kidding, and they didn't stop you.
No, because I was on a roll.
Love it. So, and let's talk a little bit about your journalism career. So, 49 years in journalism. When I first met you, you were at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and now you're with the Dallas Morning News. Does it feel like yesterday that you started in journalism, or how long does it feel?
It feels like all 49 years because there's so much stress and passion and caring and devotion and hard work and, worried about making mistakes and having corrections. That it's just a big mountain of stuff. And
yes,
dealing with it is fun and wonderful, but, you do get that panic that you made a mistake and you have to fix it and step out and, that's stressful.
I had that same feeling. For 25 years, I joked that I was one allegedly away from getting fired.
Yeah.
If I was on live TV and say he killed his wife instead of he allegedly killed his wife, I would have been fired. So it is stressful to be in journalism. And I'm glad that you have this other outlet for your creativity. And speaking of creativity, not only has he written 10 books, but he's a playwright. And I want to talk about Eamon. So tell us about Eamon.
Well, Eamon Carter was the media mogul that ran Fort Worth for 50 years. He owned the newspaper, he owned the TV station, and he owned the radio station. And so he controlled everything. And I got to the Star-Telegram, and his ghost was still, in that hall. And I decided after reading a biography of him that I could turn it into a play. And I was told that it would never work because Eamon's daughter wouldn't allow the play to go on in any of the theaters that she funded. And so I asked her daughter, is it true that your mom won't let me do a play about your granddad? And she said, don't worry, my mother won't live forever.
Wow.
And so when her mother passed away, I took this books out and I started writing this play. And I never thought anybody would see it. And we just did our 61st performance in Denton. We did 9 cities. We've got like 11 shows scheduled for the rest of the year. So people are seeing the play.
Incredible. We found a little teaser video. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
My name is Eamon G. Carter Sr. More than ever, the lessons life taught me matter today. Man cannot live off of his community, he must live with it. I hope you will join me in support for our community as we continue to make Fort Worth the best city. Tell all your friends, and I'll see you soon.
And I love it that you're really educating people. Sometimes, Eamon Carter is a famous name, but people will associate it with a building or a highway or something like that. He was a real man, and he had an incredible story.
Yeah, and there's 1 million people that live in Fort Worth now, and I'd say 90% of them don't know the story about him. And he puts it all in perspective because he created this area. And what really kind of is funny is that it's not a serious play because he hated Dallas with a passion and he used to mess with Dallas all the time. And so that's the comedic theme throughout the play.
Well, there's a famous story, and I'll have you tell it, that he would never buy a lunch in Dallas. So tell that story.
Yeah, he would bring his lunch to Dallas, and they call it the sack lunch. And he would tell everybody at the banquet, I'm not eating your food in Dallas. I'm eating my own food from Fort Worth. And don't support Dallas. And he stole businesses from Dallas, and
wow.
He did everything he could to hurt the city of Dallas.
Wow.
And so it's funny.
No, we're going to put up the play website so that you can see a little bit about what you're. So did it take you first? You wrote an Eamon book, and then you did the play.
No, I wrote the play first.
You wrote the play first.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it hard to take a man's life and turn it into one play?
It was easy because there's 444 boxes of his archives at Texas Christian University. The photos are at other places. And so I'm a journalist, so I just wrote this like a journalist, except I had people speaking instead of writing. And like, for example, he gives a speech in a bank panic, and he tells everyone to settle down. It's like a Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life scene. And I actually had the full speech that he gave from the front page of one of the newspapers. And so he just gave the speech exactly as he gave it back then,
No kidding.
So it's true to life.
And what kind of comments have you gotten from the audience?
Well, I've had a lot of people who've seen this play 3, 4, and 5 times.
Amazing.
And that's all I need to know. I don't, just keep coming back.
Well, as a performer, and I know what it feels like to have the audience in the palm of your hand. When I'm speaking and I'm in the zone, you know it. Do you know if it's going to be a good night based on the first laugh?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Some audiences are just like hysterical and participating and yelling out stuff, and the others are just sitting there. But it depends on who you know and who you're with. And I've learned a lot about theater, and people come in with their baggage, and they don't necessarily know what's going on and whether they're going to like it. So yeah, the first few minutes of it are super important. And he comes out. Well, we show a Fort Worth documentary that we made of a song called Fort Worth, Texas, and that's the overture.
Oh, cool.
And then he comes out and he introduces himself and he starts selling subscriptions to the audience.
Okay.
Which, they're like, what? And he's right, yeah. And he says, welcome to Amon Carter's Full Page Ad Club. You remember. You have until the end of the play to pay me, and I'll take your $37.50.
Outstanding. And so they can go on your website and find more information on the plays?
Yeah, amonplay.com, amon.play.com.
Outstanding. Okay, so I want to talk about this man. So Dandy Don Meredith, who's was the first celebrity quarterback. Tell us about this.
Well, Dandy Don Meredith was not only the first big superstar quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, especially in their early years when they really stunk, but he also was the host, commentator with Howard Cosell and Frank Gifford on Monday Night Football, which was the #1 rated TV show. And they all watched it because Dandy Don fought with Howard. Mm-hmm. Howard was a New York lawyer. Dandy Don was a East Texas folk singer, football player, and they clashed on TV to the point where women watched NFL games for the first time because they loved the Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis type of thing that was happening.
We've got some video, just a highlight reel of Don Meredith. What do you think made him so special?
Well, he's a Renaissance man. He not only could play football and be a comedian, which he was as a commentator, but he also was a painter. He was a singer. I mean, everything he tried to do, he succeeded at it.
And Hollywood good looks. So women swooned in the 60s.
Yeah, I have a man crush on him. Yeah, he has beautiful, sexy twang. And he just was a remarkable specimen of humanity.
Wow. Yeah. And you've got a book web page that we're going to put up on the screen. There it is. And we'll put the domain name up there as well. So tell us what people will learn in the book that they don't already know about Don Meredith.
Well, it's really a book about relationships and how to get along with people and how to make everybody else look good and how to make people laugh. And so it's about overcoming adversity. I'll tell you a little secret about him that's in the book that never has been really revealed except one time in D magazine years ago. He had polio as a child.
No kidding. And
to have polio as a child and then to come back and be a star, an MVP NFL player.
Wow.
That's overcoming adversity, and that was the weakest part of his game was his thin little legs. Yes. And he used to wear thick socks to cover it up.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Dave, you are the ultimate storyteller. In fact, you actually teach classes. You teach other speakers on how to speak and tell stories. Tell me the story arc. How does a story arc go?
Well, I call it Dave's magic V-shaped storytelling formula. And it's a V. And you introduce the hero, and the hero meets the villain drives the hero down to the low point of the V, and then the hero acts heroic and overcomes the villain to get to the top of the V, which is the climax of the story. And this is life here, Oh my God, the traffic was terrible, but then I turned on the radio and I heard this great show and everything was great, I'm a policeman and I'm going after a criminal and he's getting away with it, but wait, I'm going to catch him this way. And I caught him, So right. Everything is like this, and that's.
And if you look at Hollywood movies, I think about Rocky. I mean, that's a classic V formula. Yeah. So, Dave, we only have about a minute left. So, final thoughts. What do you want to leave people with?
Well, I just think it's important that we honor our past, and that's why I've dove into these guys from the past, because you can't really go anywhere without knowing what happened before, the people that got you there. And you got to just basically dig in and learn about their lives through their own words, and then try and give an honest summary of their life in a way that's entertaining and funny for people.
Wow. Dave, thank you. You're truly an inspiration, and I wrote one book and it almost killed me. You've written 10, and I'm sure there's more on the way. The great Dave Lieber, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet. All right, we're going to end with his website, which is obviously davelieber.org. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.